And welcome back to the drone news, where I talk about, well, RC model and drone news, try to keep things in perspective. We're talking about radio controlled model aircraft, and of course that does bring in drones, whether they're racing drones or Phantoms or Mavics or whatevers. I'm going to talk about some of the things that have made the news wires in the past week or so. First of all, remember that footage I showed you of the DJI being hurled into the wing of a Mooney M20, and I said, yeah, it's pretty dodgy, it's worst case scenario. And a lot of people in the comments on that video said, yeah, you're right, this is not something you would expect to happen, because if a Mooney M20 is flying below 400 feet, it's on approach or departure from an airfield, and therefore it's flying a lot slower than its maximum speed. In fact, DJI have now come out and said, oh, they cry foul, because they said the same thing. They believe the same thing is true. And they're asking the university to withdraw that study, because they say it's unsound, it's not based on the right principles, it gives a misleading information. And so they agree with us. Thank you, DJI, for supporting us. But of course, DJI has its own reasons for perhaps wanting that withdrawn, because it was a DJI drone they used. Doesn't look good for DJI, does it? But that piece of video has just been completely used by every blogger and news media on the planet to show just how dangerous these drones are. So the damage has already been done. The public, and most of the public are not that bright. Believe it or not, half the world has a below average IQ. That's an incredible fact not many people realize, but it's true. So we've got all these people who now believe that, you know, a drone is going to kill people. You know, it's inevitable, and it is inevitable. It will happen eventually. Drones will hit an aircraft and something bad will happen. But as I've said many times before, so far the death toll zero, and the most sound scientific analysis says that there's one chance of a death every 400 years. So don't hold your breath. You know, you're more likely to die slipping on the sidewalk or falling down the stairs at home. Right. And then, of course, the media has still been on its vilified drones rampage. Oh, God, and the pilots' unions are doing their thing. A Virgin Atlantic 787 came within 10 feet. 10 feet. There must have been someone on the wing with a tape measure of the engine of that aircraft. A drone. No, actually, hold on. Let's look at the facts. The media are saying it's a drone, but the actual thing reported was a drone-like object. So even the pilot wasn't sure it was a drone. It was a drone-like object, but the media take that and say it was a drone. It was probably that one, probably bounced off that Mooney wing and hit that. It would nearly hit that 787. You know, media, crazy people. And how coincidental is it that just a few days after that incident was reported, the British Airline Pilots Association comes out and says, "Oh, we demand tougher regulations. We demand registration for drones." Yeah. So, of course, the pilot was a member of the British Airline Pilots Association. He saw this drone-like object, how convenient. And then the British Airline Pilots Association, within hours, comes out and says, see, it proves we need to register these things. Because as we all know, as the community knows, if that drone had been registered, it wouldn't have come anywhere near that plane, right? It would have been at least 12 feet away. The registration makes all the difference, as we've seen not. Anyway, let me rant on. And here in New Zealand, the place where I live, there was a near miss as well. Apparently a rescue helicopter, quite a big rescue helicopter, came within, the pilot reckons, 4 meters. That's about, in American terms, that's about 600 miles an hour. Came within 4 meters of the rescue helicopter. They said they saw a drone. A lot of the news media was actually pretty good on that one. Here in New Zealand, a lot of them were actually not too bad. They said, you know, it wasn't, no one was killed, no one was injured, blah, blah, blah. But it was a risky situation, except one of them, the headline. Oh, no. Remember, this wasn't a collision. This was just a proximity. There was a near miss. But one talkback radio station described it as a catastrophic near miss. Well, I'm sorry, but if it was a miss, how could that be a catastrophe? If it had hit it, yeah, it could have been a catastrophe, but it wasn't a catastrophic near miss, as they claim. The media, oh man, fake news left, right, and centre. I mean, this just it betrays the media's agenda to vilify these things. Catastrophic near miss. No, oh, no. Anyway, another piece of video footage that caught my eye was I saw it on Drone DJ. That's the website I first saw it on. And it's a YouTube video showing someone with a drone filming apparently a Cessna 172 flying by at night at altitude. And I can't condone the footage, because the guy with the drone was obviously well over 400 feet. And he was flying in twilight. Was that legal or wasn't it legal? Depends on what you consider to be sunset. So it was borderline in terms of the time of day. It was definitely illegal in terms of altitude. But he captured a Cessna 172 flying past, panned around, followed. I'll put a link to that video in the description of this one, and you put a little bit of window up here. You can see, probably too small, but anyway, I'll try and put some up there. Go and have a look at the original video, and you decide for yourself, was that safe or not? Now, what I ask you is, if that hadn't been a drone, if that had actually been another manned aircraft, would that have been a concern? Would it have been a concerning factor that one aircraft saw another aircraft in the sky? No, it wouldn't have been. Aircraft see other aircraft all the time. You fly into LAX, all you can see out the window are other aircraft, but we don't have all these, with the pilot of a 747 saying, oh, I saw a 737 on landing at LAX. No, because you accept that the air is a space we share and that you will see other aircraft there. So whether the drone pilot was causing a risk, I don't think he was. And the really interesting thing was he saw it. He must have seen it because he panned around and followed it. So regulators are telling us, oh, these drones, you can't fly them beyond visual line of sight. You don't have situational awareness. You can't see things through those cameras nearly as good as your eyes. Well, I think this kind of proves they're wrong, doesn't it? The fact that he could see that 172 at quite a distance and pan around, yeah, the cameras work well. The cameras work really, really well. I've just done a video on my RC Model Reviews channel talking about the situational awareness thing. And in some respects, FPV gives you more situational awareness than actually sitting in the cockpit does. So regulators need to review that. But that's, again, drone DJs seem to think it was a bad thing. I don't think it was a good thing that he was breaking the rules, but I don't think it was the dangerous thing that some people are claiming. And again, hysteria, the media hysteria. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Now, one moment, please. Speaking of other people doing stupid, dumbass things, a Swiss tourist was arrested after he flew his drone into the window of a high-rise building in New York. What the hell was he doing? He deserved to be arrested. Drag him down the streets in chains and throw tomatoes at him. What an idiot. I mean, seriously, for a start, why were you flying your drone in downtown New York? No, silly, silly person. For a number of reasons. For a start, you're flying over people. Yes, and it's silly. Phantoms are pretty reliable, but things happen. Shite happens. Props break, motors stop, ESCs burn out, and drones will fall. And if you hit someone on the head, it's not a good look. Do not fly over people. I mean, the regulators have got, I'm a bit, people think I'm a bit anti-regulators. No, I'm not. I'm anti-stupid regulations, but there are some really good regulations. Don't fly over people. No, it's an idiot thing to do. So this guy crashed into a window, and when he went to recover the drone, he got arrested. Well, serves him right. I don't know, what crazy people. And also you shouldn't fly in those areas, because one thing that people don't probably realise, and this was also shown, I think it was in San Francisco, where a drone again crashed into a window. When you're in the canyon between tall high-rise buildings, your GPS reception is very limited. If you drop down to just 3 or 4 satellites, you've got no real solid fix. The drone will drift. You're no longer GPS stabilised. You will bang into stuff. And a lot of people, and this is where there's a big difference between the hobby and the droners, people in the hobby generally learn to fly drones without GPS. They know how to fly them line of sight, and towards themselves, nose in acro mode, in rate mode, in angle mode. They know how to fly them. They're actually pilots. We're pilots. We fly stuff. We don't just move it around using GPS as a crutch. So when something goes wrong and the GPS stops working with your average phantom flyer, they get into a bit of trouble, and it sounds like that's what happened with this guy. He lost control. He didn't know his ass from his elbow, probably pulled back on the stick to come back, and the drone was facing him, and it buggered off backwards and through someone's window. Crazy stuff. So this is, again, why the regulators need to say, well, the hobby is a completely different kettle of fish to the droners. The people who build and fly these models, the people who have, done the hard yards and come up through the chain of learning, they can be trusted and are a lot more responsible than the guys that go out there with their store-bought Phantom and wonder why it buggers off through a window when the GPS lock fails. We need to be treated differently. I think we really do. And I think if we look at all the stuff that I've shown you today and this little bit of new stuff, it's not RC hobbyists that are creating all these incidents. It's people with store-bought drones that just want to get cool pictures. So, yeah, by all means, throw the book at these people. Hang, draw, and quarter them. But leave the hobby alone. We're not the problem. And the trouble is, if you treat us as part of the problem, then I think you'll find there'll be a kickback. I wouldn't for 1 minute support that, but I think you'll find there'll be a kickback. People don't like having their rights and privileges withdrawn because of the actions of others when they're completely innocent. So to regulators, take note of that. You've got to lighten up on the hobby. Certainly in America, where the hobby looks pretty crippled at the moment, or within a few years it will be, lighten up. We are not the drone flies you're looking for. We are not. Give us a break. Right, there you go. That's it. That's the end of the news for this, whatever period of time till the next one comes up. Comments, questions in the usual place, please. I always look forward to reading them. And if you think other people could benefit from this semi-regular RC model and drone news report, then tell them about it. And subscribe somewhere on here. There's a bell. Click the bell. And apparently good things happen. Little children in Africa get fed if you click the bell. I don't know. There's something really cool like that. So do that. And subscribe. And a big thank you, as always, to my Patreon supporters, because YouTube sucks. YouTube sucks immensely, so Patreon keeps me going. Fantastic. There you go. Thanks for watching. See you next time on the RC Model and Drone News on the XJet channel. Bye for now.